I'm just noticing they're taking their time. I thought that their bell rang at 1 and they were going to give them. That's what they should do. Just lose some, you lose 5 minutes of class time, but Helps us start on time. Yeah, the middle school's really slow coming in, so I'm missing the 12.
I stand up on the car.
Good afternoon. Could I have your attention, please? Shh. Okay. Shh. Could I have your attention? Just before we get started, as the middle school comes in, I want to note that we picked up an earring on the way here from the lower school, and it could be one of our seniors or someone else's. If it happens to be yours, it'll be here. You can pick it up at the end of the assembly, okay? So an earring with 2 blue stones in it. We'll go from there. Just give me 1 second, a few seconds until our middle school is seated. Good afternoon. It's my privilege to welcome everyone to our Thanksgiving Day Assembly. As many, if not all of you know, Thanksgiving is actually my favorite holiday of the year, and having the opportunity to celebrate it together today on the way to Thursday is something very special and important. Those who put today's assembly together have done a wonderful job helping us to understand what it means to give out into the community and also how to say thanks to each other and to the community at large. Before we actually move into the assembly, I would love to take a moment to acknowledge just a few who have had wonderful falls for us. First, could I ask the entire cast and crew of Nostalgia to please stand? You all did an unbelievable job. It was great. If you did not have the opportunity to see it, it speaks volumes about what the process is in terms of developing in our lives and the things you have to deal with. It was just really, really well done. Mr. Brown, thank you for directing such a wonderful show. Give him a round. Also, I will take a moment to mention all of our fall sports teams. We had a really competitive and good season in all of our sports. And symbolically, as I ask all of our athletes to stand, I want to especially acknowledge our boys soccer team, which won its league championship in the Friends School League and placed among the top 5 in the area. Could we give them all a round of applause? One of the things I like best about our all-school assembly at Thanksgiving is it gives us an opportunity to welcome some of our local alumni back to school to celebrate the assembly with us. And while I know that more will be coming before the end of the assembly, could I ask those who are alums and are here to be kind enough to stand and be acknowledged by all of us? Come on. Some in the back. Thank you. It's great. It's absolutely great to have you back in the community. By the way, one other small piece that I want to mention is that perhaps coincidentally, but perhaps by design, just before I had the pleasure to come back up to the upper school, I could not help but notice first that our Mighty Oaks were with their little acorns. And unless I'm mistaken, I saw a number of our Mighty Oaks hanging out on the swing down there. Kayla, where are you? Griffin, David, who else? Stand up and be acknowledged. You look like you were having fun. Thank you, Riley. Kayla mentioned to me coming in that it was easy to reminisce about her time on a lower school as she was down there, especially visiting her little acorn, her younger brother, Trey. But also at the same time at the lower school, it was a wonderful opportunity to acknowledge foods from all over the world, as our third grade really had an international feast and explained the different foods from different parts of the world that we could all celebrate and enjoy together. If I could acknowledge the third grade and their mothers in particular, also their fathers, for doing such a good job putting that meal together. We appreciate it. In the course of today, we will have an opportunity to acknowledge many people in this community. Symbolically, we hope as those who are acknowledged stand and are recognized, we acknowledge and understand that they're representative of this community in a very special way. I will have much more to say about that as we go, but to kick off our assembly today, as he has done already once and will do a few more times, if I could call upon our all-school president, DeAndre Jordan.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. All right. Thanksgiving. It's a time of the year where families come together, enjoying delicious meals, football games, and some clutch Black Friday deals. Many of us simply accept the idea of Thanksgiving, but easily miss its origin. Now, don't worry. This is not a history lesson. But in 1621, the Pilgrims, they started this harvest in celebration of the New World. It was a world full of resources and opportunities. A world that, I get reminded of every time I step through Shipley's doors. Making every day an opportunity here at Shipley to really get more knowledge and come closer to our dreams. But it's the community that really makes this a truly inspiring place, for it motivates us to commit to altruistic acts while bringing grace with each of them. Acts big and small make a difference in the world every day. Walking through school, I see awesome acts of kindness. From somebody sitting down with a friend, helping them with that one dreadful homework assignment, to our own Thanksgiving food drive, which feeds over 1,000 people. Even when somebody is really mad, even at the world, it can be one small thing and just one person and one small act that makes a big difference. Big acts of kindness are, of course, important to us all, but the little ones help make every day, although unendurable at times, more bearable and enjoyable. Selfless acts are invaluable, and how those acts are carried out is equally important, which reminds me of half of our motto, grace for the doing. Teaching within itself is quite a selfless act, but how the teacher teaches makes the difference between a student simply gaining material and a student gaining a full experience, which is why I'm so fortunate for Shipley having teachers that have compassion and passion, two things that are shown through their work throughout the year. And as a result, I step into a classroom and have a memorable experience. Well, before you all go and get ready for some nice, well-deserved break time in Turkey, I want you all to remember to be thankful for all the opportunities we have. Our families, our schools, our technology, our friends, everyday lives. Just be happy. Well, thinking of the innumerable great deeds and acts of kindness you all do, I sit here hungrily wondering, who has the grace to save me a plate of food? Well, I'm not done yet. I need you all to just say a big thank you and do whatever you got to do, shake loose, do a few stretches, yoga. I'm going to have us all on the count of 3 say thank you as loud as you can. You guys ready? All right, they're ready. Are you guys ready? I like these guys. They're really awesome. All right. All right. So 3, 2, 1. Thank you. That was awesome. One more go. That was awesome, guys. Seriously. One more. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. All right. I think we're good. Thanks, everybody. Have a good holiday. All right. I'm going to bring up Bailey and Josh.
Hi, I'm Bailey Pollock, and I am one of your all-school service heads. To To start, I would like to talk about our Thanksgiving drive, which was a huge success this year. So we started this drive 5 years ago with delivering 36 meals to families of 6. It has grown each year as the hearts of Shipley keep expanding and reaching further. Last year, we were able to feed 850 people. Our goal for this year was to feed 1,000 people. Because each of you gathered together this year, we are able to feed 1,000 people today, and we will reach back to these organizations in February when access to food is the hardest, and feed 1,000 more. Last week, we raised $6,500. Yeah, clap. Yeah. So last week, we raised $6,500, and as of today, we've raised over $16,000. That's amazing. Thank you. With this money, we are supporting 6 different organizations in the Philadelphia area, and over 1,000 people will have a full Thanksgiving meal with a 25-pound turkey and all the great side dishes and fixings. The service learning team, adults and students alike, thank you for your extraordinary response of compassion. So next, last year, our upper school student leadership team decided to interview over 30 students of all ages and backgrounds. We asked them a simple question, which was, what does it take to have an impact on this community and beyond? What can each of you do to make this world a better place? The following video highlights the essential ingredients of community at their best. Katie Ballin and James Lewis were the creators of this video. Enjoy.
We face the difficulties of today and tomorrow. I still have faith. It is a pain that the American. I have a dream. One day, this nation will rise without one day on the George Foreman, all you children on the ball around with him, all of you, I know ain't got him, I know ain't got him necessarily. I'm going to show you how great I am.
Being non-judgmental is important because the person across from you comes from a different background. You don't know what his experiences are like. He doesn't know what your experiences are like. And just based off a initial, I guess, the impression that you get off from someone doesn't necessarily mean that person is a certain way. You don't know their story and they don't know your story. So it's very important to just, I guess, not judge off somebody's, the way they appear, or a first impression, or even like an initial behavior that you observe the person doing. That's just 1 second or a couple seconds of their lives that doesn't amount to their whole life. So it's very important to realize that when you see somebody behaving a certain way or appear a certain way, that doesn't amount to their whole life, and there's a lot more depth to them than you know, or that they know about you.
Excellent. What does it take to make an impact?
Well, it's the little things. Like, every day, people walk around and they're just kind of so absorbed in their own life. But you gotta go out and you gotta ask people what they're doing. You gotta think about everyone else, because, like, the smallest things that you don't even notice, like saying, how's your day going? Getting like a 2-minute conversation with someone. It's not about yourself, it's about them. It's about how they're doing, how is their day going, what's wrong with their life, what's good with their life. Changes their entire day. I've been on both sides of this. I've had days where I'm feeling depressed and I just don't want to really do anything. Someone comes in and says, like, hey, how you doing? Like, how's life? It just brings me up. I feel a lot better because it's like someone took time out of their day to ask me how I was feeling. And I feel like if more people do that, it just makes people happier. If you have a chance to go out and help people, like just randomly, like give someone something. That's like, say you have another, like your bag of chips, like half empty, just give it to someone. Like make someone's day. If you do that every day, you'll be happy, they'll be happy, and everyone kind of, the mood of everyone comes up. It just makes everyone feel better.
When you're at the Andrew Jackson School and to watch Nico and Dan full throttle with these kids going crazy. You guys painting, taking a bathroom that's just an ugly space, flipping it into this magical place where kids walked in on Tuesday morning and said, oh my gosh, someone cares about me. All of us can do something every single day to make someone else's life better. It doesn't take changing hunger or eliminating it. It's maybe sharing something with someone, lightening a burden, listening, opening a door and listening to their answer. How are you? Respond. So I just think we make it so hard to just be kind, and it isn't. It's very natural.
I'm passionate about people respecting one another and how that plays out in everyday lives of students, teachers, everyone in the community. Respect is kind of lost in the translation in everyone's life, and it's so hard to make those connections and relationships with people if respect isn't there.
Just around once a month, my mom and I go down to the People's Emergency Center, which is a homeless shelter, and we work on packing food for basically people at the shelter and people who live in the area, so they can survive. Something as basic as food, it's hard to even imagine what it would be like to be raised and to grow up, or even be a grown adult and not have those basic things. So you get to see the faces of these people who are struggling to get by, but they appreciate so much the efforts of these people who have donated food and who are organizing the food, making these bags so they can feed their families.
I think the most important factor is a willingness to participate. If you're willing to put yourself out there and just have the motivation to try to make a difference of any sort, whether it's to lead or to be even active in anything, I think that's the most important factor.
Always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on.
When I was younger, every year for my birthday, instead of presents, I would collect school supplies. I loved doing that, and when I got into 5th grade, I realized I wanted to do more. Kids Helping Schools basically helps needy schools in the Philadelphia area, anywhere, that need help with starting a project, with they need more pencils, more books. It's just helping kids get the best education they can.
What makes you keep wanting to do this?
I think it's the people that I'm helping, like handing a little kid a book, just like the smile they give me or how happy they are when I see them like open the book and start to read. It's just like there's nothing else can make someone feel like that. Anything that you do, if it's donating one book to a person, it's one more book than they would have before.
I would change the attitude that people have of, well, if it's not my problem and it's not affecting me, then why should I care about it? Because I think everybody in this world has things that they have to deal with, and there's like problems that affect everyone. So if everyone would help out, even if it wasn't their problem, or even if it didn't affect them, we can make the world at large a great place to live in. And we all have to live here, so we might as well make it better.
I'm honored to introduce to all of you Miss Jill Ashkenazi. Her energy and passion will be obvious to all of you that don't know her. She's a great example of someone who chose to do something that she could do. Ms. Ashkenazi founded an amazing organization called Our Closet that extends dignity to those who navigate poverty in deep ways. She is the proud parent of not only Ben in our middle school and Kate in our upper school, but also of James and Charlie who attend Haverford Boys School. Thank you for sharing your grace for the doing with us today.
Thank you, Bailey. I'm Jill Ashkenazi, as Bailey just said, and I'm excited to be here with you guys today at the Assembly. So let me tell you a little bit about what our closet does. Back in 2011, a good friend of mine and I wanted to try to figure out how we could make a difference in people's lives. We wanted to find something we could do. We knew there were people who did not have basic things like food and a home or clothing, so we met with countless people, we did lots of investigation, and we had a lot of different ideas. And after each one of these meetings, we would receive calls that sounded something like this. I know this isn't what you guys are doing, but we know a family who just had a fire. Or we know a family where the father's sick and the mother needs to stay home and they're really struggling. So every time we heard this, we answered that call with emails to many of our friends, most of which were Shipley families, asking them to help. And every time we did that, our living room was full immediately with exactly what the family needed to begin to get themselves back on their feet. And after this happened a few times, it became clear that we were onto something. Our closet was born out of this exact idea, a way to connect excess to need in our city. If you're a person living in poverty here in Philadelphia, you faced a host of potential challenges. You have a lack of clothing, you have a lack of food, you may have homelessness, you may have childcare issues. The list goes on and on. Our closet was designed to tackle these problems, these basic challenges, and we decided to help everybody with clothing. We knew we could provide quality clothing donated from most of you for free to people that needed it. That was the very first piece of the puzzle. But we also knew our job was delivering more than just delivering the items. It was how to deliver them. The model of our closet from the beginning was very clear, and it has remained unchanged. We are quite simply a free store, providing clothes in a welcoming space where people can shop for free and feel proud about their experience. We operate much like a real store. We have hanging racks with beautifully presented clothing. We fold items, we put them on tables, and we even have a checkout counter where everybody goes at the end and gets a bag with the Our Closet logo. We have volunteer sales associates who work every day, many of which are Shipley parents, who offer assistance and suggestions on what the shoppers might want. So what started as a pop-up shop, as a little bit of an experiment 3 years ago, is now 7 pop-up shops a month in 4 different locations in Philadelphia. And I could not have done this all myself. And thankfully, many of you and your families have helped in so many ways. You've helped at the warehouse sorting clothes. You've done clothing drives of your own, in your home, in your communities, at your churches, at your synagogues. You've donated all the adult clothes from the Shipley coat drive, all went to Our Closet, and the list goes on. The lower, middle, and upper schools have all been involved in Our Closet last year and this year. Your donations of time and clothing and your dedication to helping others has been the reason that Our Closet is reaching children and adults in our city in such important ways.
Hello? Nope. Hi. Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm one of the co-heads of Community Life. And I was wondering if you could talk to us about an important story about one of your shoppers and sort of why that reminds you of like how important it is to do what you do every day. And I was wondering if you could also talk about how that impacts like what you want a Shipley student to take away from all of that.
Got it. So I have a lot of different stories that happen countless times through the year that keep me excited about what I do. One story that really comes to mind is a story of a woman named Rose Marie. It was a really favorite moment of mine. She was a return customer, someone who came at least once a month to the store, and she always took clothes for her 5 grandchildren who all live under her roof. Since each customer is only allowed to take 5 items each visit, she came back each time taking 1 item for each grandchild. If she was anything, it was equitable. She was never going to play favorites. Then one day, Rosemary walked in, and as always, she walked right over to the children's section. But I noticed that her sweater had a big hole on the back. Trying to be very sensitive to her situation and not to make her self-conscious about this at all, I offered to help find her a new sweater for the winter. She immediately said no. It was all about the kids. She wanted to focus on her grandchildren and what they needed. But I persisted, and she eventually allowed us to take care of her as well. 2 of the volunteers who were working in the store that day guided Rosemary over to the women's section, and her eyes lit up. She looked at the sweaters, and she very hesitantly tried a few on. She quietly admired herself in the mirror, and she eventually settled on a black and white patterned sweater. When she took it off and she went to check out at the checkout counter, she turned back and she smiled. She looked at the 2 volunteers that helped her, and in a really soft and quiet voice, she said, "Thank you so much. I have never shopped and actually tried clothes on before and looked in the mirror. That felt so good." And everybody who was there that day left our closet on a high. Seeing a difference that you can make in somebody else's life, not only by giving them the free clothes, but by also giving them the confidence and the dignity, that can really make a difference in a person's life. Because again, it wasn't just the sweater that Rosemary walked away with, it was really, really so much more. So I guess that's my message here today at the Thanksgiving Assembly is you can all make a difference. Big ones, small ones, it's really not that hard. The difference can be with our closet or any organization or just something you simply do on your own. You can make a difference with a smile, by helping somebody in the lunchroom or on the playground, on the sports field, in your classrooms, in the bigger world at Shipley or beyond. Every one of you has something you can do every day that can help others. Our closet started because I wanted to do something to help others, and at this very special time of Thanksgiving at this assembly, I hope you can all take time to think about the something you can do. Thank you for having me.
I just want to thank Mrs. Ashkenazi for everything she has done. It's truly incredible. And now enjoy the second half of the video.
Change about humanity, it would probably be just the more acceptance. I feel like this world is way too judgmental out there, and if everyone just had the foundation to just be accepted towards one another, it would probably be a better place because there's no judgment, there's no putting another person down, it's just you being happy, and I think that's important.
Who inspires you in your everyday life?
My everyday life, I'd have to say my mom. She's a truly amazing woman. She grew up very poor in the South. She had a family by the time she was 18, going through med school. She doesn't really take anything for granted. She works for everything that she needs. Her philosophy of life is it's about the journey, not the start of the end, and that really inspires me.
What makes you
doing what I want for my own reasons versus someone telling me to do something for something I don't believe in?
Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. Not even me. All right? You got a dream, you got to protect it. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it. You want something, go get it. Period.
Whatever you do or whatever impact you want to make, you have to be brave, determined, and believe in yourself. That's how I try to walk onto the basketball court, but that's how we all need to walk into life.
What do you think people need to be happy?
I think people need to be themselves to be happy. Personally, if someone doesn't like who you are, then too bad. They have to deal with it. Because you need to be yourself, and then by being yourself and not having to hide yourself behind a mask every single day, pretending to be something you're not, will make you happy.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Sir, I just want to say thank you. You saved my life.
What is something that every person needs?
Everybody needs a little bit of extra happiness. I feel like everybody is too stressed out.
I think that being positive is a really important way to influence any situation and to improve any situation, and that trying to see things, things aren't always going to have a good side and a bad side, but trying to see a good side or any good side of something can usually turn most situations around, or at least make you feel better.
To be a change maker, you need to have passion. If you don't love what you do and you don't want to get up every day and have that be the only thing you want to do, then you're not going to be determined and be able to reach that long-term goal.
What attitude or ignorance would you like to erase from humanity?
A type of person with a really closed mindset, I guess, because I feel like that's a big problem. People with really closed mindsets who aren't open to things, like that's an issue, because in order to solve problems, not only in like a community, but in the world, you would need to have an open mind, and I feel like that's a big issue.
I think it's important to stand for things because you have to find what you're passionate about and what you care about, and it may seem insignificant to you because only you care, but one person can change everything for so many people. And I definitely think that once one person starts change, then it's like a chain reaction. One person starts and then everyone else follows, and you can have such a big impact on the world, even with little things. Like, for example, I last year went on a trip to New Jersey to help families that were devastated by Hurricane Sandy. We were doing a tiny thing. We were just going in and catering a meal for families, but for them it was such a big thing because they had been without, food. They weren't even in their own homes, they were displaced. So for them it meant the world to them. And I think the most beautiful thing about change is what happens afterwards when you get that smile or when you get that simple thank you and that gratitude from someone. I think that's the most amazing thing about change. And I think that's why it's so important that everyone says, this is what I believe in, this is what I stand for, and they try to change it, because we can make the world such a better place if we all stand for what we believe in and what we're passionate about.
It's pumping blood, and it's your heart, it's alive, it's pumping blood.
I'm John Dietrich.
I'm Emma Scornback. I'm Anna Holder. I'm Diana Bowman. I am Kate Still. I'm Kate Ashkenazi.
I'm Will Field. I'm John Colino. Griffin Brooks. Jack Rice.
Keeping with the theme that I can do something, we can do something, you can do something, one of the ways we all can hold each other accountable to what we can do is by making a promise. And that's what the 6th grade choir is going to sing about now. This is a promise I will keep. In every house I will enter for good. In every field I will do only good. By only river I will turn my hand towards good. This is a promise I will keep. In the middle of the song, you're going to hear a couple of stories of some Shipley students who are unsung heroes, students who do things every day and don't get noticed for it, and they're going to be noticed for it and a chance to applaud that while the choir sings this promise I will keep.
Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Mason, and I'm in the 10th grade. I want to recognize 2 upper school students for showing grace for the deed. The first student, Juliana Burns, is a leader in word and in deed. On the soccer field, she's an exemplar of grit, determination, and collaborative leadership. And beyond the example she sets on the field, Juliana has the courage to raise her hand and articulate the importance of working together to her teammates. So much so that one day her coaches took a step back and let her finish the halftime meeting. In that moment, she emerged as a leader. I asked Juliana Burns to please stand so that we can appreciate her. Our second upper school student is Graham Cuddy. He does everything asked of him and more. He was the only choice to MC the latest talent show. He's tremendously funny and always respectfully so. His humor brings people together. It is never mean-spirited or hurtful. It is always wickedly smart. When one of his classmates did not have the parent visiting day, he dressed up in a coat and tie and went to observe the class his friend was in when he had a free period. I asked Graham Cuddy to please stand so we could recognize him.
This
Good afternoon. My name is Jack Robinson, and I'm in the 7th grade. I want to recognize Josh Hurricke for showing grace for the doing. Josh is a student who jumps in and helps first without ever having to be asked or prompted. I like to share 2 recent examples. First, when a student thought she had thrown her retainer in the trash, Josh helped go through all the material in the trash to help find it. Second, when a student fell off a chair in class, Josh went to the nurse's office and got ice without being asked. I asked Josh Hurricke to please stand so we can appreciate him.
Good afternoon. My name is Charlotte Smith, and I am in the 7th grade. I want to recognize Sakshi Navale for showing grace for the doing. Sakshi is a very committed member of the middle school service group. During the last 2 years, she has volunteered at Cradles to Crayons and Cosa Cosa Art at Large. Throughout her time, she has worked selflessly, embodying our mission, principles, and goals for community service. In class, she is a collaborative student leader who willingly helps others, volunteers to do errands, and offers assistance without ever needing to be asked. I would like Sakshi to please stand up so that we can appreciate her.
This is a promise I will keep. I will turn my hand towards God. This is a promise I will keep.
Good morning. My name is Sierra Zanfard, and I'm in 4th grade. I want to recognize Omar Shaki for showing grace for the doing. Omar came to Shipley from Egypt. In 1st grade, he didn't know much English, and this is rather difficult for him. Today, he's a great student and an awesome athlete, but he's very humble. One weekend, he scored 7 out of 10 goals, but on Monday morning in class, he only reported that his teammate played well and won. The second thing about Omar is that he's very polite. Even when Mrs. Van Horn corrects him, he listens calmly and then says, "Thank you for helping me." I asked Omar Shaki to please stand so that we can appreciate him.
Good afternoon. My name is Ruby Gorn, and I'm in 5th grade. I would like to recognize my friend Adam Deitch for showing grace for the doing. Adam is very kind and caring. He's aware of everyone's needs, and he's especially kind to new students, playing with them at recess and even inviting them home on weekends. The second thing I would like to say about Adam is that he's an upstander in class and on the playground. If he sees something unfair, he quietly stands up for what is right. I asked Adam Deitch to please stand up so we can appreciate him.
This is a promise I will keep. I will turn my hand towards God. This is a promise. This is a promise. This is a promise I will keep.
Strings. Set change.
Thank you. Both our middle school chorus and strings, thank you immensely. Wonderful, wonderful performance. We appreciate it. Though we have a bit more, I do want to make a couple of quick announcements. First, I'd really appreciate it when our assembly is over, if you're in a seat, you'd be kind enough to move the chairs, fold them up and put them against the wall so it makes it easier for our physical plant staff. That's something we've begun to do as a school, and I think it makes a difference. Second, so much of what we're talking about is celebrating people, and I want to acknowledge all of the people who have been mentioned today, but realize that the same things could have been said about ever so many more people in really important ways, and it speaks to our community. As we do at this assembly and others, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our birthday celebrations this week. I'm going to announce the people who are celebrating and then ask our one birthday of today if he'd be kind enough to stand so we can sing happy birthday to him. But this week, Gray Devine, Charlotte Kavanaugh Kerr, Tiani Watson Harris, Electra Ballas, Will Colleran, Andrew Buckingham, Martine Fortune, Arvell Jones, Max Turgeon, Kate Scott, Sam Switsky, Mrs. DiCiaccio, Katie Eads, Mrs. Small, Mrs. Tassoni, and celebrating today, if he'd be kind enough to stand, Finn Buckley. Finn? I also want to take a moment to mention that the first basketball game of the year will be this afternoon at 4:30. Is that right? Best of luck. So great. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to have a few words both about Thanksgiving and, of course, something I think everybody's aware of that happened last evening. But before we do, so much of what we've talked about today is really about process. It's about how you move from one place to another. As you think about how you've gotten to where you are today, and as you think about those things you and we can do to begin to move some of the challenges we have to a more positive and productive place, I invite you, just for the next minute or so, to take a look at a time-lapse video that captures the essence of a project that we're working on outside that most of you, I hope all of you, will recognize. Trav?
All in a small town, had myself a ball in a small town. Made an LA dollar right through this small town, just like me. Though I cannot forget from where it is that I come from, I cannot forget the people who love me. Yeah, I can be myself here in this small town. And people let me be just what I want to be.
I want to thank those who put together the video. If you have the feeling at all that you watched your life pass in front of you, that was about 6 months' work contracted into about a minute. Over the next 6 months, we'll see the second half of that project with the steel virtually up, being completed so that next fall we're able to open our new dining hall, art center, resource center, everything that we're looking forward to. I do want to take a moment, because it's appropriate, to mention that that work wouldn't happen without the incredible commitment and hard work of lots of people in this community, not just the people who have raised money, not just the people who have done the design, but our entire physical plant staff and everyone in the school who makes the day-to-day things happen. On Thanksgiving, it seems appropriate to take the time to thank them, thank our development office, and thank everyone who has a role in this process. Could we do that? I look forward to the final film in 6 months. Be ready with it, Trav. Although I would not have chosen necessarily to speak to this today, I think it's absolutely essential for me to do so as I put things into context. I'm curious, how many of you watched the news last night to see the results of what happened with the grand jury associated with the Ferguson situation? And though I'm speaking more to our older students and to our adults in the community, we all know that on August 9th, when Michael Brown lost his life in an exchange with Darren Wilson, that the world had once again changed, or at least it asked us to notice it in an intense and important way. In the months since, grand jury contemplated whether or not Darren Wilson, the policeman, should be indicted on charges for the murder of Michael Brown. Last night, they rendered a decision that said he would not be indicted. That in fact, in the course of action, he had acted appropriately as a policeman. I know, you know, we all know that people have very different thoughts and feelings about what that decision might represent. Personally and selfishly, regardless of whether we agree with a decision, and of course, I have no way to really make a decision on that because I don't really know the evidence and I don't think anybody else does. So I have to have confidence in our judicial system. Most, if not all of us, are certain that Michael Brown should not have died last August. Last night, the reaction across the country ranged from those who agree with the decision to those who seriously disagree. As President Obama said, we need to accept that this decision was the grand jury's to make. As he said of Ferguson and went on, of course it speaks to broader changes that we face as a nation. We all know that in this country we face issues like this on a daily basis, perhaps not as overt to all of us. What we also know is that if we are to become the country we want to become, that we need to become, that we need to be able to prevent these things from happening in the future and to be able to deal with them in as constructive a way as possible, hopefully in a collaborative and cooperative way. It is in that context that I look to one of my all-time favorite Americans, someone we saw on the video, and by the way, James and Katie, great job. I love the video. And his thoughts on such a thing, and those of you who have heard me before on this holiday know that I'm not at all afraid to refer to Martin Luther King, who, though he's passed, we continue to share his dream. He said, "Man must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation for such a method, in his mind, was love." Recognizing that that's not easy, he also said, "Human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle, the tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals." We all know that if Michael Brown were alive, he would have done things differently that evening. And certainly if Darren Wilson had the opportunity, he would have done things differently that evening. But today, as a result of things that went seriously awry, the Brown family will feel that loss for the rest of their lives. And the Wilson family will have its own loss as well. It seems appropriate as we're giving thanks to different things and giving thought about the difference we can make doing things, that we take a moment of silence in memory of Mr. Brown and in thought of what it is that we can do to prevent these kinds of things from happening in future, to create the respect, the understanding, the support across the country from people of every walk of life in every situation. Could we please take that moment of silence? As we think now about moving forward in a positive and productive way, and we think about Thanksgiving, I'm reminded of the words of Mahatma Gandhi, who says, "True happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony." As we think about Thanksgiving holiday and the ways that we can make a difference, my hope would be that we can find a way to have the things we think, the things we say, and the things we do fall into harmony. Just last week, I was visiting the school up in New York, the Millbrook School, where I came across its motto, Non sibi sed cunctis, which means not for oneself, but for all. And in fact, isn't that what Thanksgiving is really all about? Finding ways to reach out to make a difference. To paraphrase some thoughts from Oprah Winfrey about Thanksgiving and thanks in general, she said, if you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never have enough. But if you're thankful for what you do have, you'll end up having more. It's in that context that I ask us to look at this Thanksgiving to be grateful for what we have. And I share with you the words of the Dean of Students at Millbrook, who wrote, "Remember to be kind, remember to be happy, remember to be grateful. And as we heard in the video, don't ever let someone tell you you can't do something." I hope each and every one of you have a wonderful Thanksgiving and an even better holiday season to come. I thank you for a wonderful fall, and I wish you a great winter. And now, I ask us all to please stand so that we can sing the school song. Before we go, three quick things. One, could you join me in giving all those who put today's assembly and participated in it in some way a round of applause? Second, for those who are sitting in chairs as you go, please remember to put them against the wall. Third, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you.